All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. More than 700,000 Americans are still without power after a major winter storm pushed through and brought snow and ice to 40 states over the weekend. Most of those power outages happening in Tennessee and Mississippi. And I do want to show just some of the power of this and some of the ice that can complicate things from Metro Nashville, saying I-65 is presently shut down due to situation. This was earlier. Roads in particular are icy. A number of traffic lights out as well. As you can see, a semi potentially bringing down a sign over the highway. Also a live look right there on Broadway. And I'm not talking about a Nashville Predators game, but you could play that potentially on Broadway. Let's be joined right now by Fox's Asher Red right now in Nashville, Tennessee. Asher, thank you so much for joining us. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling from these frigid temperatures in Tennessee?
Well, Andy, about 15 minutes ago, the car right here actually had a tree on it, and now, as quick as that, the cleanup crews are gone, and that's relief for the people here in this area of Nashville, Tennessee, which is the Germantown area. And I can tell you that about a half an inch of ice in some parts of Nashville was enough to cause a problem this weekend, and that caused trees to fall down, sometimes on cars, other times in power lines. I actually spoke with a man earlier today who says his apartment was surrounded by power lines that were tangled up in some of these fallen trees.
Well, the power went out 7:30 in the morning. 6 p.m. it came on, and then flickered. About 20 minutes later, I said, it's time to head out. It's cold. Probably got down to like 58 inside. And in my complex, like everything was coming down. They had crews out all day working on it.
And more than 100,000 people are still without power here in Nashville. The Nashville Electric Service says it's doubling its workforce today with outside help, but it could still take linemen days to get everyone back on the grid. Meanwhile, the roads are still a mess. Tennessee Highway Patrol has responded to at least 700 calls since this all began Friday night, and crews and salt trucks and snow plows are working around the clock to keep the roads clear. But once the sun goes down, any moisture left on the road is freezing fast.
We urge people to heed the calls to stay off the roads if possible today. Let our crews have the right of way to get out there and do what they need to do. And just please be patient. Realize that everybody is working as hard as they can. And we have all of our efforts focused on restoring that power.
And the Tennessee Health Department says at least 3 people have died because of these cold temperatures. And we're expecting those temperatures to scoot back down to the single digits later tonight. Andy?
All right, thank you so much. And obviously people without power, that's very difficult because you really never know when it's going to be restored. What else did you hear from some of those individuals that had to deal with this? Because Tennessee, you're not accustomed to this. People were prepared potentially a week out for this. What else are you hearing from some people on the ground?
Yeah, well, a lot of people really just want that power to be on. You know, a lot of the hotels downtown are filled with people who brought their dogs and their kids there because they want them to stay warm and stay fed. And a lot of these people are still waiting to get the text messages from the Nashville Electric Services that their power has been restored. And of course, they had weeks to prepare, but there's only so much preparing you can do in Tennessee where it's already a place that's not built for ice like this. Think about it this way. The power lines are strung up on poles to help with flooding. In case there's floods, the power lines aren't going to get wet. But now with the ice and the freezing rain that we got, it just weighs them down. They're not underground like some places up to the north might be.
That is a very good point. And obviously a little bit more hilly in Tennessee than other parts of the country. We just spoke to someone out there in Texas. So very interesting. Asher, thank you so much. Stay warm, stay safe in Nashville.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation as always, as plenty of people around the country dealing with this. Again, I just want to put up this picture there out of Nashville, Tennessee. As you can see, just some of those icicles coming down from parts and bars, restaurants in the Broadway region of Nashville, Tennessee. Usually a hotbed for tourism, but obviously very chilly right now. As also a live picture, computer X-rad monitor of all the cold temperatures, lots in blue right there, especially in the Midwest, in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky right there on the tri-state. 9 degrees, also 7 in Chicago, a very cold day for the Windy City. I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this. All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Due to the winter storm that moved across the country, thousands of flights were canceled or delayed, and some of those disruptions have lingered into a new week. A live picture at several different airports around the country, from the West Coast and LAX, Dallas, Fort Worth, all the way down to Atlanta. And obviously, the ripple effect is felt even if you weren't in necessarily a community that got ice or snow. So all of these places dealing with those disruptions. Let's be joined right now on the ground at a location that was severely impacted in North Carolina by Olivianna at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Olivianna, thank you so much for your joining us. What can you tell us about some of those disruptions there?
Yeah, Andy Mack, yesterday at this time, I was outside in Charlotte getting pelted by freezing rain and stepping on really slick ice. Now we're seeing all of that translate into air travel disruptions, and we saw a lot yesterday. We've got thousands nationwide today, and people telling me that they are stranded, they don't know where their bags are, and people are sleeping in the airport. I mean, it's a nightmare for a lot of folks that are trying to get home or to wherever they're going. We know that that was a record number of disruptions yesterday, over 11,000 cancellations and over 6,000 delays. And that's the biggest number we've seen since the pandemic, according to Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, who also spoke to Fox this morning, saying that there's still some more work to be done to get all these runways, these flight schedules back to normal.
Right, so we have our workforce trying to get back to the airport. Just as you try to go to the office, you and Dana made it today. Nice job. But as people try to get to their workstations in the airport or in the towers, is creating some disruption for us. And again, we're clearing airports, runways, making sure we have staff in place and equipment in place to make sure planes fly safely.
You know, when I got here this morning, I looked at the flight board, and I'm telling you, it looked like it was almost just a list of canceled flights, but it really was all the flights is showing. So many were canceled, many of them delayed, and, you know, I spoke to some travelers here about how that's affecting their plans, their life. I talked to some people who said they're driving instead. They're going to make the last leg of their trip just a drive somehow. I talked to another couple who tells me that they were actually on a direct flight that didn't have to do with Charlotte at all. Now they're stuck here.
Still can't get my bags, and now they rescheduled us for this evening. So we've been stuck here buying food, drinks, and everything from out of here. They shipped us here for a connecting flight, and it's never been connected. We've been here over 20.
And I think it really shows how bad it is. They describe that trip as just a vacation from hell because they really don't even know what their next flight will be back to Memphis. As we know, Tennessee got hit very hard with this severe weather as well. Andy Mack.
That is so unfortunate. They never expected to be in Charlotte, and now they're stranded at that airport. I do want to ask you about Charlotte, if people in our nationwide audience are not familiar. Is Charlotte a hub for any major airline? Are they trying to get back to normal? Any particular airline there?
Yeah, well, we got a lot of American flights here, so I will say some people are saying, I don't want to do American after this. You know, when you've got those cancellations, you are just wanting to figure out what you can do next time to make that better. But unfortunately, a lot of this was just unavoidable with this ice and freezing rain that this area just doesn't get a lot of. And I will say we have some silver lining here for the next in the next couple of days. We are looking towards some smoother schedules. Sean Duffy saying that Wednesday will be a key day for it to look a lot more normal as compared to today and tomorrow.
You can feel the frustration from all of those people, but hopefully they will get to their final destinations soon, and hopefully they'll get there safe. All right, Olivianna, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation as always, talking about some of those cancellations, those delays, over 11,000 over the weekend on Sunday alone. A live picture right now at some of these different airports, and even LAX probably feeling some of the impacts of that ice, that snow, those cold temperatures, as flights in and out of there might be tough to come by right now.